Hello, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling a financial hurdle that, honestly, almost everyone faces at some point. Picture this. You finally do the responsible thing, right? You start saving money every month, putting away $100 here, $200 there. You feel disciplined, financially mature, and honestly, you absolutely should. But as we'll see today, there is a massive difference between just saving your money and actually building wealth. We're going to explore a core concept drawn from Jack Explains Money, looking at how to transform those responsible savings habits into genuine, long-term wealth creation. Basically, we're going to build a bridge from saving to investing, and we're going to do it step by step.
Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine you check your banking app and you see $10,000 sitting proudly in your savings account. You feel incredibly secure. But then you look a little closer at the interest rate. Often, standard savings accounts pay something ridiculously low, like 0.5% interest. Do you know what that means in actual dollars? It means that after leaving your hard-earned $10,000 in that account for an entire year, you've made a pitiful $50. Literally, $50. That barely covers a decent dinner out for an entire year of ironclad discipline. Meanwhile, you hear everyone around you talking about compound growth and index funds, and you start to wonder, wait, am I missing something here?
And this brings us to a truth that might sound a bit controversial at first. Saving money alone will almost never make you wealthy. Now, don't get me wrong, your discipline is completely valid and necessary. Saving is absolutely critical, but it isn't the final goal. It's really just the first stage. As the source material points out, savings and investments actually have two completely different jobs. Savings are designed to protect your money. Investments are required to actually grow your money. If you only ever protect your money, you'll just never give it the chance to expand.
Section 1. Math versus psychology. Let's look at this jaw-dropping comparison. Say you have that same $10,000. If you put it in a savings account that miraculously earns 1%, after 20 years, you'll have about $12,200. But if you invest that money, well, historically, the S&P 500 stock market has returned about 10% per year on average over long periods. At that 10% rate, over the same 20 years, your $10,000 grows to roughly $67,000. It's the exact same starting amount, but a wildly different outcome. This proves that the biggest wealth gap isn't between people who save and people who spend, it's actually between people who save and people who invest.
So if the math is that obvious, why doesn't everyone invest? Well, it comes down to the psychology of money. Saving feels safe because you can see it. The number doesn't just randomly drop 5% on a Tuesday afternoon. There are no fluctuations. Investing, on the other hand, feels risky. The market moves up and down, creating this emotional volatility that scares people away. And if you're sitting there thinking, I just don't want to lose my savings, that is totally fair. It's completely natural to fear losing your hard-earned money to a volatile stock market.
Section 2. The 5-step path. So instead of blindly throwing all of your savings into the market tomorrow and hoping for the best, here's the 5-step path. It's a calculated transition, not a scary leap of faith. And it all begins with step 1, building a real emergency fund. Before you invest a single dollar, you need 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved in cash. Why? Because the biggest reason people panic and sell their investments at a loss is that they suddenly need cash for a medical emergency, a car repair, or maybe a job loss. This cash buffer essentially protects your investments from real life happening.
Once that buffer is in place, we move to step 2, which is really all about how you organize your mind. You need to mentally separate saving from investing. Imagine 2 buckets. Bucket 1 is your safety money. It doesn't move, it's bolted to the floor, and it's there purely to handle emergencies. Bucket 2 is your growth money. Because your safety is already fully covered by bucket 1, bucket 2 is actually allowed to fluctuate. Its specific job is to grow over time. Making this simple mental separation dramatically reduces the anxiety of watching the stock market move.
Step 3 is to start small. So the crucial point is, you absolutely do not need thousands of dollars to become an investor. Many beginner platforms allow you to start with just $50 or $100. As this quote perfectly summarizes, the goal isn't massive profits at first. The goal is building the habit. Getting comfortable with the actual mechanics of moving money into an investment account matters far more in the beginning than trying to time the market perfectly.
Step 4 is to focus on simple investments. A huge mistake beginners make is jumping straight into complicated day trading, options, or crazy crypto speculation. You really don't need to do that. Instead, look at the power of simple index funds. These funds track the overall market instead of trying to pick individual winning companies. That gives you instant diversification and lowers your overall risk. It's a boring, consistent strategy, sure, but it is so remarkably effective that legendary investor Warren Buffett has repeatedly recommended low-cost index funds for most everyday investors.
Section 3. The power of compounding.
To really understand why staying disciplined is so vital, we have to visualize it. And this brilliantly illustrates the true magic of investing. Imagine you invest just $300 a month. If the market averages an 8% return per year, after 25 years, you'd have roughly $285,000. Now look at how that breaks down. The first part is your actual contribution, $90,000 out of your pocket over those 25 years. But the second part, the massive chunk, represents almost $195,000. That is pure investment growth. The compounding growth is quite literally doing the heavy lifting for you.
The source material uses a wonderful metaphor that I just have to share here. Saving money is a lot like storing seeds in a glass jar. Yes, you're protecting them, they're perfectly safe from the elements, but absolutely nothing grows inside a glass jar. Investing is like taking those seeds and planting them in the soil. Now, at first, it looks messy. You don't see results immediately. The dirt is just sitting there doing nothing. But give it time. Things take root, they grow, and eventually you get a harvest that is far, far bigger than the original seeds you started with.
Section 4. Surviving market crashes. Okay, but even with beautiful metaphors, there's always one final lingering fear, right? But what if I start and the market crashes? It's an incredibly common and highly relevant question because, well, market crashes are normal. They've happened dozens of times throughout history, and the news headlines always make them sound like the literal end of the world. It is incredibly intimidating to look at the financial news and just see a sea of red arrows.
But here's how experienced investors actually view those downturns. When the market drops, it is surprisingly a benefit if you are consistently investing month after month. Why? Because those downturns allow your monthly investments to buy more shares at much lower prices. It's kind of like the stock market is putting all its best assets on clearance. Because you're an investor who thinks in decades, not days, buying those cheaper shares leads to much stronger returns when the market eventually and inevitably recovers. You aren't gambling, you're just accumulating great assets while they're on sale.
Section 5. Stability versus freedom.
At the end of the day, saving money gives you stability, but investing money gives you freedom. And you absolutely need both. Stability ensures you can sleep soundly at night knowing a flat tire isn't going to ruin your entire month. Freedom ensures you won't have to work every single day for the rest of your life just to survive. The earlier you can combine both of these practices, clearly separating your safety bucket from your growth bucket, the more unstoppable your financial future becomes.
So I want to leave you with this question to assess your own financial habits right now. Are you currently stuck in the saving stage, just staring at a jar of protected seeds? Or are you ready to follow this 5-step path and finally plant your seeds in the soil? The math is clear, the path is highly structured, and the choice of what to do next is entirely yours. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you the clarity to take that next step confidently.